I can tell you that we're making a lot of money. We're doing great. Again, we're losing more than $5 billion a day. $5 billion a day. You don't talk about that. And right now, we're going to be at a point very soon where we're making money every day.
President Trump touting his trade negotiation tactics in a new NBC News interview. The White House faces mounting pressure to cut trade agreements to avoid massive tariff increases. For more on this, let's bring in Arizona GOP Congressman Andy Biggs. Congressman, thanks for joining us this afternoon. You heard in the president's interview there that he's playing hardball with China, that he's not going to cut back a lot of those tariff numbers. Do you think that this is a situation that he can continue to maintain here, or is he going to have to relent as these container ships are coming to the United States? There's many fewer of them last month than there were the month before.
Yeah, I think he can keep it up, and I think he needs to keep it up, specifically with China. China is an adversary, number one. Number two, what this has done is it's put incredible pressure on Xi Jinping and the Chinese economy. We know that their national debt to GDP ratio is horrific, and is that causing some contraction in the or a slowing of growth in the economy in China. And the result is there's unrest in China, which we don't hear about a lot in the news, but it's actually happening, where you're seeing unrest in China, and it's over their economy. And they're calling Xi Jinping to cut a deal. So I think President Trump's on the right track here with China. And I think there's going to be somewhere an accord that happens probably in the short to midterm range.
On the other end of that, are you concerned that, as analysts are saying, we could be headed for a recession here, prices could be going up, that there'll be pressure on the White House then to cut a deal?
Yeah, well, so let's take what tariffs do. You have only about 15% of our economy that's actually going to be subjected to tariffs. The rest of our economy is not. That's number one. Number two, you're seeing record job creation and growth on the part of this economy, and that's really going to be going forward. That's going to happen. You've also seen this massive amount, over $5 trillion in capital investment commitment into the economy as well. So there are generators coming in that will actually facilitate growth. And never forget that as we reduce energy costs, which President Trump's working hard to do, as we reduce energy costs, you'll see about a 40% cut in the overall price of things. So I think we're building a long-term, basically a revamped economy, and I think that's a good thing for us. And there are always some issues that we have to face because there's going to be some short-term challenges, but I think long-term we're going to have a great economy.
The White House says it's negotiating dozens of trade deals, got a 90-day deadline on that. I think we're up to about 65 days now. Have these negotiations been moving fast enough? We haven't really even seen a negotiation or a deal cut yet.
Yeah, deals that are on a bilateral relationship, which are better for the United States and better for the trading partner, those take some time. We saw Japan came over almost immediately. Korea came over. India came over. The EU's Secretary General said that they wanted to get to zero tariff. But it isn't just tariffs. Sometimes we're being tariffed, but there are other barriers that these countries put up. So those have to be removed. I think you're going to start seeing these bilateral arrangements come out. And by the way, when you see the bilateral arrangements start flowing and they're following like dominoes, which I think they will, you're going to see our economy improve because we'll be able to export more to more open markets that have been kind of closed to us, or if not closed to us, at least restricted or constricted in some way.
Congressman, you also serve on the House Oversight Committee. The top Democrat on the committee, Congressman Jerry Connolly, is stepping aside in his role as the top Democrat because of cancer treatment. You've got a number of names that Democrats are floating here. Congressman Lynch, Stephen Lynch, is the one who's going to slide over there temporarily. He's more of a veteran, but you've got younger members who also might be jumping in here. Congressman Khanna, Jasmine Crockett, AOC. Who do you have your money on?
Well, I mean, I would imagine it's going to be Lynch. First, our hearts go out to Jerry and hope he gets well and gets better and gets healed and gets back. But I would imagine Lynch has the inside track. Khanna is too rational. He's very strong, very articulate, but he's too rational for the radicals in the Democrat Party right now. But I mean, it'd be hard for me to fathom Jasmine Crockett or AOC there, because if they get there, the whole world will constantly see how radicalized and actually over the top, some might even use the word crazy leftist, that the Democrats have become. And I don't think that the Democrats want to reveal that to the broader American people.
This is a pretty high-profile job. The chairperson or the ranking member of the Oversight Committee is speaking almost constantly on the hot-button issues that hit Congress, no?
That's exactly right. It's a committee that has some of the broadest jurisdiction in Congress. We can go to any agency department and we can investigate. And so it is really broad, open to a lot of potential dialogue and exposure to the media. And the question is, who do the Democrats want to have that exposure? And it's hard for me to conceive that it's going to be Jasmine Crockett or AOC.
All right, we'll see. Congressman Eddie Biggs, thanks so much.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.